Oh hey, Jeremy here from Long Speed Marine. Well, today we're playing musical front ends and hammering out a little bit of a dent here, so tag along for this and we'll get into it right now. So on some of my other clips, or if you follow me on social media and whatnot, you can probably have seen that I've had a couple clips for this car. One that was black, that was the original one from this car. I've got this rusty one here that was from the four-door that's a little bit better shape than my original ones. It's going to take me quite a bit of body work to fit those. So, a buddy of mine, Matt, huge thank you to him on Instagram. He's at Rotten51. Go feel free and follow him. He also has the 51 Merc that I've dubbed the Imposter because it's actually a Lincoln that would, there's a Merc front clip on that he put on it. Our other buddy Gord made him a chassis to shorten up the chassis for it. So that's a pretty cool car. So he had picked up these Fenders and was going to use them. He was actually just going to cut them up for patch panels for his. But seeing the struggles that I had with my front clip and all that, he said, hey, why don't you come pick up these Fenders and see if they're going to work for you, save me a pile of time. So I'll get you in here and show you in a minute, but these Fenders have been modified quite a bit. They've had a bunch of body work done to them. They've been narrowed for some reason or something. Yeah, they've definitely been narrow, especially when I look at these original ones. So this has been pinched in quite a bit. They've got Frenched in headlights, which is basically where you take the headlight ring and everything and mold it all in for folks that don't know. So I'll show you that as well. The front nose piece has been all molded into one, and then they cut it in half to take them apart. So I'm going to try and fit these things up and see if they're going to work, hoping that they are, and then we can get into sanding and body work and that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'll show you these fenders a little bit closer, and then we'll see if we can hang them on. All right, so there's your Frenched in headlights. Basically, it just means that you recess the headlight in there. You can see the hood corner's been rounded instead of squared off. And this has been all molded into one. Where on the factory one, it sort of bolts on. This front piece bolts on. And if you notice, don't know if you can tell or not, but right in here, there's definitely less metal in there. If you look at this gap to that, use my finger measure, you can see that's a lot different, right? So this has been sucked in, and I can see on the underside of the panel that that's been sucked in. There's obviously a bunch of Bondo up here, but the good part about these fenders is this back piece. Okay, so this piece is all solid, the bottom piece is solid, where on both of my fenders, you can see it rots out because that holds a lot of junk in there. So when I had these on just the other day, it looked like they were tipped up quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and try to throw these on. I'll turn you around so you can see. I'm definitely going to have to trim some of this part away, but Matt doesn't care. So if I end up not using these, obviously I'm going to give them back to him. So he doesn't care if I trim those away because he's not interested in using that at all. He just basically wanted them for that back patch panel. So let's go ahead and hang these things up. All right, so I just tried to put these on here loosely the other day, like I said, and it seemed like they were wanting to tip up too high. So what actually happens, I don't know if you guys can see it. Well, that's good. So this piece here is basically what sort of lines these up. There's a channel here, and it bolts into that. There's bolts that run through in here. Of course, Mercury over engineering. So that's sort of what I'm using as my gauge to line this up for how flat these fit. And it felt like it was up too high. This piece might be bended, so I just bent it down in my hand, and it bolts on the top here. And then the way the front section bolts is off of the inner fender. So obviously these have no inner fenders. So I'm going to have to take my other inner fenders off, or what I can do is even just make a brace that runs from here over to my rad cradle to at least get these bolted on for now, because to be honest, I'd kind of like to make my own inner fenders anyway. So enough talking, let's see what we can do here. So we got quite a big door gap here. Now obviously the bottom isn't in, but look at how that fender sort of doesn't travel along that door gap. I know I'm sitting a bit high, so that can be moved back a little bit. But even if I move that back, I'm still off quite a ways. Like if I move this down a bit, and I think that's roughly where it's going to sit. But you see, I don't know if you guys can see that. It almost looks like the fender's traveling uphill. Maybe it's supposed to. I don't think so. All right, let me do some thinking there. See, that height seems about right. I know that I somewhat messed up that rocker panel down the bottom. I should have put more of a swoop in that rocker panel. That's okay, I can hammer that along that body edge. Okay, so we're gonna need a little bit more finessing. I got the bottom bolted on. I know that it is sitting a bit high because it's hitting the power steering box up the front, so I'm gonna have to trim a little bit on the front. The gap is a little weird. I don't know, even when I get it down, this gap is gonna be quite large on this side. The other side is better. So the passenger side, the gap is much better. I like that. That's pretty much how, you know, most Mercuries do have this gap here in the door. It's just the way that it is unless you body work it out. So I can come over a little bit more with this part, I believe, yeah. So I can come in a little bit, screw that down tight, and then I just got to figure out what I'm doing in the front nose here. I don't know what they were trying to do. It's kind of flattened out here. So I think what I'm going to do now is trim around that power steering and try to get the nose supported a little bit. And just see if I can somehow, I don't know, clamp those together or something for now. And then try and get my hood on and then see how all that's going. But to me, it looks like this whole front clip is coming up a little bit, which, I don't know, maybe that's the way it is, but I don't think so. So, anyways, I'm going to get the hood on now. So I'm going to mess with that and then get the hood on, and I'll bring you right back in because none of you want to hear me and see me grunt and groan and struggle with the hood. Plus, I don't know how I'm going to get the hood to close because that weirdness. Anyways, let's get to that. All right, well, obviously, I mean, the hood doesn't fit perfect and it's a little bit wobbly. It's got those rounded corners. So I don't want to cut this hood until I'm down to the nitty gritty. It is sitting a bit shifted, but this side lines up not too bad. I mean, I am this way a little bit, and obviously I can't get that gap right until I get the hood down. But this side, I don't know how much that's going to come in when I pull this way. But I don't know. So we'll see. I got to just do a little bit of fine trimming there, and not trimming, but yeah, I mean, I have to trim the corners. I really don't want to do that until I know for sure that I'm using these fenders. I really do like this front emblem. But obviously I can't run it. I mean, I guess I could run it with this. The other option is if I try and use one of these to put on there and sort of cut one of these and put it in. This front clip also doesn't have this safety latch. So that may be a good reason to sort of put this back in there, or use the one from my other car because it's already mangled, this one here. Because this one's already mangled, so I can kind of cut this up around here because the ends are screwed anyways, but the center is good. So I can cut that up maybe and put it in there. That wouldn't be too hard. And I can also straighten those corners back up and just go with the stock style front end. So maybe that's what I'll do. I'm just gonna sit and ponder this for a minute, and I'll get back to you guys with what I decide. All right, so here's the deal. So I'm sitting here looking at these. A couple things. So whoever modified these, let's say my camera is straight. These headlights tip in. They've pinched this whole fender in basically 2 or 3 inches. This should be out here quite a bit more. I would have to modify my hood quite a bit to follow this curve, plus round it off. Don't really want to do that. Like I said, I like this front emblem, so I'd really like to run that. So there's a bunch of stuff that needs to be fixed on these fenders, and I just don't think it's right. I think the other thing that happened was they put it on the car crooked and then tried to gap the fenders. That's maybe why they cut them, or they were cutting them to try and pinch them in. I don't know what custom trick whoever this person was trying to do on these fenders. But anyways, it's going to take a whole lot of work to try and cut these things up, straighten up these headlights, excuse me, because they're never going to be straight. Your headlights are going to be pointed this way, so you have to, anyways, it'll be a bit of a weird thing. So the reason why Matt originally picked them up, my buddy, is he just wanted to cut these bottoms off for his car. So I'm not going to do anything with these. I'm not going to cut them up anymore. I'm just going to leave them the way they are, let him do what he wants to do with them, and I'm going to run my black fenders, the original ones that were on the car. They have some pretty terrible patches to them, but it's pretty solid on the outside. It's not rotten through, so I'm just going to leave that patch. That one there needs to be fixed up, which is fine. I want to modify where the headlight is anyways, so being rusty and everything around there. So all I'll have to do is make my bottom edge on both of those, fix up that one patch, and then these are going to work. All right, well, now I've got the black front clip back on, and now I'm not sure what I want to do either with this one. There's a lot of stuff I got to do to fix up this. I got a big gap here for some reason now. I don't know if it's just because this is bent. This clearly looks bent, this piece here. I don't know why that's happened. I got to repair all of this. There is a hole up here that I'd forgotten about. So I'm not too sure what I'm going to do right now. I may go back to that 4-door rusty clip because it may be a bit, it obviously doesn't need all of this. I still need to make these fender patches regardless. The one on the other side of this is not bad. But it is still kind of gross in here, so I'm not too happy with that. I don't know that I want to spend the time body working all this and have that, at least on the other fender. Those 4-door ones on the inside, that wheel opening is good, so I just have to make a patch basically to cover that. So maybe that's what I'll do next here. Anyways, just trying to work through this and figure out what the best plan of action is going to be. Here's the front, the 4-door front clip bolted on. So this is what I'm going to use. It's probably going to be the easiest to repair overall. All in here is pretty good. All around here is pretty good. I got a couple small holes to fill in here. And then up and around the headlight. I'm going to hammer out this dent right here and see if we can get this mostly out and mostly round. So I've got my dolly here that I can use. Most of the hammering will be on this side. So I'm just going to start hammering away on this on the back side and try to get this out as good as I can. All right, now I want my, unfortunately I don't have a reversed curve dolly. I don't have a reverse one. So I'm going to try this. Now when I'm looking down, I'm looking at this, there's a crease here, and I'm looking down at the dolly, and I can see that crease, and as I'm hammering it out. All right, now what I'm going to do is take my grinder to this just so I can get this a little bit more smooth and see where I need to perfect it. All right, so now still see there's a pretty good crease in that. All right, now I think that is going to be as close as I am really going to get it. I'm just trying to get down the edges of that, hammer down the high spot, but that's going to be pretty close. Yeah, that's pretty close. Still a little bit of a whoop-de-doo over here. All right, well there we go. So that's got that dent out. Obviously I need to make this piece bodywork in there. I'm gonna wait because when I decide what headlight rings I'm gonna use, so I'm either gonna be using something like this and sort of French them in a little bit, mold them in a little bit better. Or I've got these ones here, which I can't remember what car they're from, but they've got a tiny bit of a peak to it, and this nice beauty ring. And those ones there will be able to sort of be molded in quite nicely and give a little bit of a peak. I would follow that peak just a little bit back into the fender. And I think that would be pretty neat and custom to use these ones. So I'm leaning towards going with these. Give it that nice Frenched in look. So I'll need to build out to this anyways. So I'm not too concerned about that around there. So, all right, well, a little bit of musical front ends here, and decided to go obviously with this 4-door one. So in the next video, I'll be doing some of the body work here, getting the side pieces done. I probably won't do those till the one after, but I've got to make some patches for the lower section over here. And then I'll start tackling this whole front end area, put these front beauty rings on and do that. But hey, thanks for tagging along on this one with me. Make sure you stay tuned. The future videos on this car are going to be doing the paint and body easy, cheap. This front end is not coming back off. I just don't have the time, and it took so much to ram it on here that, you know, it was all twisted and whatnot, that I'm just not going to take it off. And so be it. So the point is to show you folks that you don't need to go crazy on paint and body to make it look good. And you don't need to be a super expert. I'm going to paint it in the shop here, and it'll be what it is. We may get a little bit of junk in there, but you know what? So do folks when they do it in a spray booth as well. So that's my plan with this, is to show you folks that, you know, hey, there's that car that you want to buy, but man, that paint kind of sucks. It doesn't look great. Well, don't let that discourage you, because for a few bucks you can get that car painted and have a really, really nice car when you're done. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to follow along with all this stuff. Hit the like, leave me a comment down below. Which headlight rings do you like, the peaked ones or just the round ones? And hey, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much and take care.